All right, folks, to create a Google Drive assignment, I'll head into Assignments, and I'll create a new assignment. I'll tap on this Add Assignment in the upper right-hand corner. Let's first give this assignment a name. Here is the rich content editor, which we've seen before, and this is where we can put any directions or instructions that we want for our students, including texts, links, videos, Google Drive artifacts, what have you. Down here, we're going to put a number of points. If you'd like points, we like the points here to correspond with the number of points we're going to put later on. In this case, I'll put 12. Choose your assignment group that you'd like. Display grade as, whatever you so choose. And in this submission type, here's where we're going to choose a Google Drive assignment. We are not going to choose online. Online would be if we wanted them to just put a link to a Google Drive document, or even something where they submit a static PDF version of a Google Drive artifact. Instead of online, we're going to pick external tool. And then we need to find and choose an external tool. So let's click on Find, and we are going to choose Google Drive Assignments LTI 1.3. So let's click on that. We'll choose Continue. And here we are in an interface that looks very similar to Google Assignments from Google Classroom. If you've used Google Classroom before, it's going to behave nearly identically. So what are we going to do? We're going to choose a Google Drive artifact for which we'd like to make a copy of it for each student to edit and submit. So I'm going to tap on Attach. And I'll choose the Google Drive artifact that I want to use. Note, whichever one you use, the sharing settings are going to update to anyone with the link can view. So if it's something that you don't want visible to more folks, you might want to consider first making a copy of that Google Drive artifact and then using that copy for this assignment. In this case, I'll use example Google Doc. Great. We can see it's added here. Each student will get a copy. Note that we can put total points here. I do recommend that you put the same number of points here as you did in the Canvas assignment. And for a due date, you choose a due date that's identical for both here and the Canvas assignment. It'll just make things operate more smoothly. So in this case, I'll do December 28th at 11:59 p.m. You have the option to choose a rubric to create one. I leave that to you. When we're ready, let's press Create. This step may seem a little weird. You think, oh, did it work? Are we all done? Yes, it did. Let's tap Select. And now we've locked in this Google Drive assignment. Note what I said before. Let's have the due date here on Canvas match that due date on the Google Drive assignment. So I'll go due on December 28th at 11:59. Fantastic. Okay, now we're ready to save and publish. We've saved and published this assignment. Great. Now right here I see no student submissions yet. That's totally okay. Let's go to a student perspective and see what happens when we begin the assignment. So here I am on the student perspective. I'm going to refresh the page. We see in this to-do list, we now have Google Drive assignment. Let's see what it looks like for the student. On the student perspective, they will see any directions that you wrote in the rich content editor. And they will see this Google Assignments interface pop up on their screen. Here is their Google document, customized for them with their first name and then the name of that Google artifact there. We can open to attach and submit, or click here to open it. Let's tap here. They can add more files if they like. They can create other Google Drive artifacts if you want to just have them start from scratch instead of working with a pre-made template that you did. Let's open this up, and now as a student, let's go ahead and start messing around. The moment that a student opens up their Google Drive artifact, whatever it is, on your end, the teacher perspective, if I refresh the page, you will see that this student now appears, and you see that the status is assigned, meaning they have not yet, quote unquote, turned it in. If I click on this student, it will open up the grading interface for this Google Drive assignment. And I am in there and I can watch the student work as they're doing their work. The student does some more, and it shows up here exactly at that moment. Now I'll make a note. Right now, in its current state, if I look at the sharing settings, I, the student, am the owner of the Google document right now. The teacher is an editor, as are any other teachers of that Canvas course. We are editors. If I go here to the teacher's perspective, right now, I'm just suggesting. I can put in comments, I can make suggestions, or I can switch to editing if I wanted to as the teacher. Great. As the student, I'm going to work. When I'm done, I'm not going to turn it in here. This is where I'm actually going to press submit. And I'll make a note that even before I press submit, my teacher can watch my work in real time. This is really important. So I, as the student, I'm going to go ahead and press submit now. And you'll see that the student's assignment status goes from assigned to submitted. From the teacher's perspective, I'm going to X out of this for a moment. I see it goes from assigned, refresh the page, to submitted. Fantastic. I want to make a quick note that I, as the teacher, if I were to go to SpeedGrader for this particular assignment, it's going to show no preview available, nothing to see here. Why? Because this is a Google Drive assignment, and I need to go to the assignment itself and find this Google Assignments interface in order to open it up and grade it. Now I want to make a note. Since it is before the due date for the assignment, since it's before the due date, the student can actually choose to unsubmit their work, do something else, and submit it again. Because note, now that the student has submitted this Google document, if we go back into it and we go to the sharing settings, these sharing settings were automatically updated. The student does no longer have editing or commenting privileges. They are just an owner, a viewer, and cannot share. Now that this has been submitted to the teacher, I'm now on the teacher's perspective, we'll see that because it's been submitted, the ownership of this file has been transferred to me, the teacher, and the student is now just a viewer. So that happened once the student submitted this document. Again, since it is before the due date, the student can say, you know what, actually I'm going to unsubmit, I'm going to do a little bit more work, and then I'm going to submit it again. So I unsubmitted it, I'm going to do a little bit more work, and then I'll say, okay, now it's perfect. Now I'm good. I'm going to go ahead and submit now. This unsubmission option is going to be there until we hit that due date, at which point the student will no longer be able to unsubmit this assignment. Back to the teacher's perspective. Okay, here I am on the grading area for this assignment. And here I can, as the teacher, give the student a grade. I'll give them 11 out of 12. Overall feedback, nice work, what have you. And when I'm done, I can press return. I do want to make a note that I, as the teacher, can see the history of when the student has done their work on this. That the student, it was assigned at this time, they submitted it, then they unsubmitted, then they submitted again, so you can see this from the teacher's perspective. When I'm done giving any numeric grades, overall feedback with words, maybe a rubric, I can go ahead and click return. I can return to one student, or I can return to multiple students if I had multiple students. In this area, I can oscillate between students by going to the next or previous student alphabetically with these, or I can see students organized by first name, last name, or status, assigned, turned in, return, or whatnot. In this example class, I have exactly one student, so that's not very exciting. I'm going to go ahead and click return. Okay, I'll go ahead and click return. Now I'll make a note that since we had the grades corresponding here and in Canvas, if I go here now and I check out the SpeedGrader for that specific student, you can see that the grade has automatically been updated to 11 out of 12, exactly as I did in the Google Assignments interface. The comment that I put in Google Assignments does not show up here. I could put another comment or a different comment in Canvas. From the student's perspective, I'm going to refresh the page. They can see that their assignment has been returned and graded. They can see their grade here. They can see the overall feedback. And if I had put any comments or text or whatever within the Google Drive artifact itself, this is where it would show up. So friends, Google Drive assignments on Canvas, a very powerful tool, and I'm excited for us to leverage it together.